Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Soviet Tier 8 Premium Tank Destroyer, the KV-4 KTTS, and also 1 replay in the Orthoris KV-4 KTTS. So if you did like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the KV-4 KTTS. This is a tank that you are going to get in your Season Pass. So when you complete the season at level 100, this is the vehicle that you will receive alongside the Asario, and this is the one that you'll get for free. You don't even have to buy the Season Pass from this, to be fair. You just complete the Season Pass, you get the KV-4 KTTS. And is it any good? Well, I think when I reviewed it, I called it trash. It's been buffed since then, and it's not the complete trash it was when they released it, because when they released it, yeah, it was dreadful. Like, the armor was butchered by tier 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s. It was butchered by even some of the tier 6s firing premium. Like, the armor just did not hold up. But then they buffed the armor, and they buffed a lot of the panels, like the lower plate, the turret front, the little machine gun port on top as well, or the little, is it a 40mm gun that's on top of the turret, a 45mm gun, one of the two. And it made it so that it can bounce a lot. It can bounce the tier 6s and 7s pretty reliably, which is good, which is the way it should have been anyway. The tier 8s, the standard rounds are very troll whether they will pen or not. The tier 9s and 10s still do butcher your armor. Like, if you side scrape, that's where this vehicle truly wants to be. It will bounce a lot of shells while you're side scraping, and then you can come out and shoot them when you have ricocheted their shot, and then rinse and repeat. And that's what the KV-4 KTTS wants to do. As soon as you're out in the open like this, your armor starts to get melted, which is just a pain in the ass for this vehicle, and it's just a frustrating vehicle. It's big, it's slow, and it's awkward. That's just what the KV-4 KTTS is. And if you're wondering why I've included a replay of the Orthoris somewhere in here as well, the reason I've done that is because no doubt someone will ask about, well, there's the Orthoris. Is that the same tank as the KV-4 KTTS? And the answer would be yes and no. It's the same chassis, but it's got an autoloader of this gun instead of a single shot, which, to me, personally, I feel like the Orthoris is way better than this vehicle just for the ability to burst. Like, you can ricochet a shot while side-scraping, dish out 1,000 damage, and then pull back, right? That's what the strength of the Orthoris has, whereas this doesn't have that capacity, which can be just so frustrating. Like I say, this vehicle is just a very, very frustrating vehicle. I do not like it. I feel like the gun is fairly derpy. It's a crit belt, it's a walking crit belt, and by that I mean it tends to get set on fire a lot, it tends to lose its ammo rack a lot, which is a bit of pain, and its engine tends to go quite a bit as well, which is where you get set on fire, which means that, yeah, it's just a bit of a pain to play, and it's just really not the best tank in the universe, and I definitely prefer the Orthoris version of this tank by a country mile than this one. But this is the one that you're going to get for free in the Season Pass. So, what do I run in terms of recruiting equipment on this vehicle? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Track Mechanics, Steady Aim, Clutch Braking, Run and Gun, and Armour Angling. And in terms of the equipment, the Advanced Loader, the Optics, and the Traction System. I run the Traction System not for the top speed, but for the extra track traverse. So that this vehicle can get up to 28 degrees a second track traverse, along with that clutch braking, because it is a very slow turner, so I want to make sure that I can get the best out of that track traverse as possible. Optics to be able to spot for myself and get myself up to the 473 meters of view range that I have with this vehicle, because it is a blind Soviet TD if you do not run optics or situational awareness, etc. The advanced loader to make sure that I get the best DPM I can out of this vehicle, because you can get it up to 3.1k DPM, which is a 6.13 second reload, which is very, very nice for the vehicle, and you can just keep slapping out the rounds. And then the steady aim and the run and gun to get the best out of the gun I can in the KV-4 KTTS. Steady aim to get that 0.28 accuracy that this vehicle has, with run and gun to knock the accuracy down to 2.21 during movement, so that the gun doesn't bloom out quite as much as it would do without run and gun, because it does bloom out a lot. Once you're going on the move, the aim circle does become rather large on this vehicle, and it just adds to the derpy feel of this gun, which it can be just pain. You could definitely drop the armor angling for off-road driving if you wanted to be able to get better ground resistances, help you get to that top speed a little bit better, but it's down to you and how you feel comfortable playing the vehicle. I just want to reduce the amount of damage coming into the vehicle if I am going to get penned. So that first game you saw was a pretty average stroll around against some of the tier 6s, 7s, because we didn't really face many of the tier 8s except for the TS5. And to be honest, you saw what happens when a tank that actually has penetration comes against you, and that was the TS5, who just went, oh, I've got 248 pen or 300 plus pen on heat. And went, lol, your armour means nothing, and basically wrecked our armour in the blink of an eye. That's basically what happens with the KV-4 KTTS, which can be pure pain. I mean, you don't really struggle with penetration that much for this gun, because you do have 227 pen on the standard AP rounds, which have 1,043 meters a second shell velocity. You have 289 penetration on the premium APCR, which is 1,304 meters a second shell velocity, which means the APCR is just downright the best ammunition choice on this vehicle, because 1,300 meters a second shell velocity is fantastic. Add in the fact that you've got 289 penetration, you're basically going to pen everything you're going to face, which is definitely very nice for the KV-4 KTTS. The 227 pen is enough to go through most tanks at tier 8, and quite a lot of the tanks at tier 9, and quite a lot of the tanks at tier 10, to be fair, if you hit the weak spots. But yeah, when they're starting to just butcher you alive and you are struggling to pen them, that's where it can be pure pain for this vehicle. You have 5 degrees of gun depression with the KV-4 KTTS and the Orthrus as well, which is a bit of an annoyance at times, especially if you go anywhere near a ridgeline, because you will struggle to get the gun down, and it makes it, again, just awkward. That's part of the reason this tank is awkward. You do have 45 degrees a second, well, sorry, not 45 degrees a second, 45 degrees of gun traverse, or the yaw limit, so the turret on this vehicle does turn to the left and right 45 degrees, which can be useful, and to be honest, that's more like how you want to be angling this tank, is where the gun is sort of just looking over the left-hand side, where it's just touching the tracks. That's how best to be angled, because that's where you'll ricochet the most shots. The armor on this tank is very, like I say, very inconsistent and very troll. It's all about how you angle it, and side scraping is the name of the game for the vehicle, but it can just be pure pain, because it's very easy to over-angle the vehicle, and then people just pen you your side or your tracks and track and pen you, which is really annoying. Or you get a tank like the 263 firing APCR that also has incredible penetration and just, well, can go through you very, very easily. So as you can see, the second replay, we are on Lakeville, we're against tier 10s, and we're exactly where we want to be in the KV-4 KTTS. We're side-scraping off this little church. Kind of need a bit of help from the people behind me so that I don't get flanked or that these guys don't just decide to push us. But we're side-scraping as much as we can in the hope that this 263 might ricochet off our armor and we can just keep farming his lower plate. So we go for a shot into the side there of the 263, but sadly we end up just doing track damage only. The IS-3 does actually come round and shoot us in the side. I was really hoping he wouldn't be able to do that because we'd have friends shooting him, and therefore, actually, he put one shot into the side of us and he did get absolutely farmed for it. So the 263 was distracted with our E100. He fires again. We're going to take the opportunity to get a shot into the lower plate, that 263, because you really want to try and get rid of that guy. He has very good penetration, and as you're about to see, if he does go for the shot, he automatically pens us with that pen, which is not good. He also has a pretty damn good reload as well, but we're just trying to find a shot into him. We track him in place, and I think, well, you know, if we get rid of his repair kit, maybe he'll, if he comes around and gets tracked again, he'll be screwed. But we're just going to watch the corner. He has got unspotted, and that means that, yeah, he could probably outspot us because he's got very good camo. He's got view range that is just about the same as us, even better maybe. And that means that we will never spot him whatsoever. He will be able to just outspot us through the bush. But the Ragnarok goes after him, and he ends up, unfortunately for the Ragnarok, getting shut down by Waffle Panzer IV, but we get the opportunity to finish off the 263 with a shot through the lower plate. We're up to 2.3k damage with 163 assistance, and their team is starting to fall apart. They've got 7 tanks left on the enemy team. They've got that Waffle Panzer IV that's back there in the corner, and most of the rest of the team are just basically camping in their spawn, which can happen in Lakeville. So we're just going to try and crawl along to get anywhere near the rest of the damage in this game, because this tank does have a 38 km/h top speed with that traction system, with a 13.2 km/h reverse speed, with like 12 horsepower per ton ratio, which is really not very good. And to be honest, you don't really get near the 38 km/h top speed ever unless you are going slightly downhill or you've had a lot of time on flat ground. And it's basically a struggle to get anywhere near that 38.5 km/h top speed. Which is why you might be thinking, well, why take the traction system? But like I say, the traction system, we're not taking that for the top speed boost, we're taking that for the track traverse boost, because it's nice to be able to swivel around. And we finished the game with 2 kills, 2.6k damage, 163 assistance, 1500 block, the Pascuchis medal, the second class, with the 1493 base XP. That was a fairly average game there for the KV-4 KTTS, that was the whole point, and it was against tier 10s, which, well, realistically, we only faced the 263, but you saw what the 263 just did to us. He just went, ha, lol, I can ricochet, you know, I could ricochet it off my side, and that's exactly what happened, but yeah, as soon as he got anything that he could shoot that wasn't our side while we're side scraping, he just butchered it, and yeah, there's not much we could do against it. But now we're on to the third replay, and the third replay is in the Orthrus. Now, the reason, like I say, I've included this replay is because I want to prove, I want to show the fact that this tank is different to the standard KV-4 KTTS. In terms of the mobility and all sorts of stuff like that, and the view range, and the ground resistances, and the armor, this tank is exactly the same as the KTTS. What's different is the gun. So you've got the same gun in terms of penetration, shell velocity, but this gun is an autoloader. As you can see, you've got 3 shots in the autoloader with a 3-second intra-clip reload. You've got 2.26 second aim time on this vehicle, which is slightly worse than the standard KTTS, which has 2.12 second aim time with the builds that we run. And then on top of that, you've got a 20-second reload for the clip, which is really not that bad for a clip that does, what, 960 damage in a burst. So from the first shot of, well, from firing the first shot in 6 seconds, you do 960 damage, which is where I say I much prefer the Orthrus, and I feel like the Orthrus is a much better vehicle. Why? Because it's still big, slow, and awkward, but if you ricochet a shot while side-scraping, you can just go, well, I've ricocheted the shot. Or if someone pens you while you're side-scraping because you just managed to get an awkward shot at you, you can go, well, okay then, poke out, drop 960 into them, and then just pull back and stay safe while you reload. And that, it just suits the chassis so much more to have this autoloader that is on the Orthrus. And it's really a sad time that the standard KV-4 KTTS doesn't get this autoloader. Realistically, it should just be that the Orthrus gets the single shot, the same as the KV-4 KTTS, and then they just add a package on the KTTS as well for the autoloader, right? But yeah, it's weird. The skin on the Orthrus is actually really nice as well. I like the look of the Orthrus, whereas the KV-4 KTTS just has the other skin, which is sort of it's alright, right? But yeah, the Orthrus, I really do actually, I much prefer the Orthrus. It's not really a case of I truly enjoy the vehicle, but I feel I can get more out of the Orthrus just for that burst fire. The other thing that they did add on this vehicle and the standard KTTS is that 45mm well, not machine gun, that 45mm gun that's on the top port, because that's something that the KTTS and the KTTS anyway, sorry, didn't actually have. And that gun has 88mm of penetration on the premium rounds, which you're never going to take any of the standard because it's only got 51mm of penetration, and that will not work against pretty much anything. The 88mm of pen, though, can be useful against some of the sides and rears of a lot of vehicles you'll see at tier 6, 7 and 8, so it can actually be quite handy for keeping damage flowing or keeping people's tracks off, you know, or just destroying destructible cover as well. It can be useful for all those sorts of things, and it's definitely an asset for the vehicle, especially if a light tank gets round you as well. It can be quite useful for that as well. So as you can see, the Charlemagne is now distracted. So we've got the rear and side of the Charlemagne. We put 2 shots into him with the 45mm, and then we finish him off with the 1 shell that we had in the clip there. Try and get a shot into the SU-130 PM that was at the back, but unfortunately it missed. Like I say, this gun still isn't the best in the universe on the old Orthrus. I mean, with the build that we have, it's 0.3 accuracy, which is, again, slightly worse than the KTTS, for example, which is 0.28, and it does feel that little bit more derpy at times, but then the KTTS also feels derpy, right, which is, yeah, it's one of those frustrating ones. The other thing with the KTTS, sorry, the Orthrus, I should say, is the fact that you don't have the ability to put a gun rammer on, or the advanced loader. So you can actually run vents, and the vents helps you get up to 484 meters of view range on this vehicle, which is 11 meters more view range than the standard KTTS, which can actually make a lot of difference in spotting targets at further distances, especially since this and the KTTS only have like 390 meters of still concealment, which is dreadful. It really helps you to spot people at further distances. So the vents can help that, and then help everything else about the vehicle as well, which is pretty handy. But you can also run the powertrain to go faster, that sort of thing. It's down to you and how you feel comfortable playing the vehicle. But as you saw, we finished with 3.3k damage, 1700 assistance. Again, a fairly average game there for the Orthrus. The real reason for that replay was just to show you that the Orthrus is a different tank to the KTTS, so don't think you're getting that if you've seen it, or don't think you're getting an autoloader on this vehicle. That's the whole point of that, was just to show that they are 2 separate tanks that are different in slightly different ways, although they look exactly the same. So we're on to the fourth and final replay, and the fourth replay we are here on this map, which is Highway. And on Highway, what we are going to do is go set up at F9. We're going to do that so that we can shoot the people that cross the J line. If we shoot the people across the J line, we'll get some free farms into them before they get into the town. And then if needed, we can get charging into the town ourselves, go get stuck in, and brawl. Because realistically, that's what the KV-4 is supposed to be built for. The KV-4 KTTS is definitely built as a brawling tank destroyer. As the fact that you have no camo, the gun's fairly derpy at range at times. You know, that sort of thing. The only problem with brawling with this vehicle, like I say, is the armour sometimes, well, there's quite a lot of times, to be honest, where the armour on the KTTS just goes, you know what, I could bounce that shot, but, yeah, I feel like getting penetrated right now. And that's what happens. And then that's the KTTS, and you go, oh, it's just frustrating. It's just a frustrating tank. Let's say it's big, slow, awkward, and the awkwardness adds to the frustration of the vehicle because, yeah, the armour is one that it's not like you can truly rely on it, and you get just pretty frustrated with it. So as you can see, we didn't really spot anything crossing to the town. The Carnarvon made it before we even spotted him, and that's probably because we have 473 metres of view range. We're not the best view range in the universe, so we're just going to go after the Carnarvon. It's like, hello, Mr. Carnarvon. I see you have hit points. He pens us with standard there, which is like, you know what, 226 penetration? Or is it 220? Can't quite remember. This is one of the two. There's the 20 pounder or the 32 pounder. One of the two has those penetrations. It might even be 220 for the 32 pounder and 226 for the 20. Can't remember. But anyway, he's got 220 or 226 penetration, and he did go through our lower plate, which is where, but he's starting to bounce a lot on our lower plate. And this is where I'm saying, yeah, this is where the armour is frustratingly inconsistent, because it's like, oh, he penned us, and then now we're bouncing him repeatedly, right? And we go, well, where's my trust in the armour on this vehicle? There is no trust in it. But this is where the 45mm can be useful, as I just absolutely wreck his poor concealment cover that he had. We're keeping him pinned there with shots into his drive wheel, and he ends up getting shut down by the ISM. We're up to 694 assistance with 1225 damage, and again we're going to go put ourselves in a position where the KTTS wants to be, which is in the town, getting itself into side scraping positions, and then laughing at the enemy tanks as it ricochets shots off the side. So here is the Jagdpanther 2, which has, you know, 246 pen on its 128mm gun, and we ricochet him off his side, because again, this is exactly where we want to be. Side scraping off a building, and then giving them basically our track or our side for them to go ricochet off the side of. That's what you want to do. You do have to be careful with the KTTS though, because the turret on the KTTS, if you turn it left or right, becomes extremely weak extremely quickly on this tank, and that is a definite weak point for the vehicle as well, same as it is on the Orthrus. That is, if you turn the gun ever so slightly to the left and people get a shot at it, it becomes just really weak and really easy for them to pen, which can be deeply frustrating, as the vehicle does have 125mm of armour on the side of its turret, and because of the angling of it as soon as it turns to the left or right, it just becomes really weak, and you just got to be very, very careful. If you're pointing your gun straight at them, though, it's not too bad, as you do have 250mm of thickness on that frontal turret, which, you know, can ricochet good amount of shots, but again, it's fairly flat when it's right next to the gun, and as soon as people have about 270, 280, 290 pen, which when you're facing against a lot of tier 9s and 10s, they do go straight through the front of it, which is pain. Same as it is with the little 45mm gun port as well, which is 230mm of thickness. They go straight through that as well if they've got like 250, 260, 270 pen, which again is just one of the frustrations of the KTTS. Your lower plate is very well angled at 220mm of thickness, but there is, if they shoot you directly in the center, thing is, it's a very slim shot, but if they shoot you directly in the center of the lower plate, it's literally 220 flat, which is where the inconsistency on this armor profile comes into play for the KTTS, and that is the deeply frustrating part. And again, because of the fact that your engine block is all basically in the front of this vehicle, as soon as they pen you in the lower plate, that's where you start to get set on fire with that 15% internal fire chance, because they damage your engine, set it on fire, you go slower, you start to burn, it's pure pain. And yeah, it's deeply frustrating, to be fair. If you get shot anywhere in the sort of mid to rear of the vehicle, that's where the ammo rack is as well, and that just tends to be where you sort of start to get damaged in your ammo rack, as if they start shooting you in the back end. Pretty much, which is, again, deeply frustrating. But it just seems to go all the time. Again, this is one of those tanks that is a bit of a walking crit bell. It just seems to go all the time, which is, yeah, annoying. So they're currently capping. Worst case scenario, the tanks that actually charged out of the town have all died, because this is what you want to do on highway. You want to go and win the town, like we've done, and then come back to defend your base and sit on these ridge lines, because there's no real effective way of pushing down the K line. You just basically die if they have campers, and it doesn't end well for the team that does that. But then you can come back and defend your cap, which is fairly easy to defend, because if you have people sat where I am and then people sat at A9, they basically can't cap. So, yeah, it becomes pretty easy to defend. So that's basically what this spawn wants to do on highway. Their spawn is so much better than our spawn is. And we can never make it across the A line or B line, because they're at A1, B1, which completely cuts off that cross, or under the bridge at E5, way before we even get anywhere near crossing that A line. Unlike what it used to be when the spawns were different on this map, but that was a very, very, very long time ago. So, yeah, the spawns are a bit unbalanced on a highway. And that's because their team just gets all the advantage. The only thing that we have, like I say, is the ability to get into the town quicker. But the fact is they get to very good defensible locations in the town anyway, at the same time as we get into good positions in the town. So, yeah. But what you want to do on this map for this side is win the town and then come back and defend your base. You don't want to push out of the town towards their cap, because it just very rarely goes well. So the stone cold that YOLO'd towards us ends up getting shut down. We put a shot through the turret front of the Kunzerpanzer. We actually ricocheted a shot from behind, which was very lucky. And that Kunzerpanzer, unfortunately for us, just went straight through the drive wheel and tracked and penders, which was really irritating. I thought at that angle he might still bounce. But we're going to go see if we can get rid of that Kunzerpanzer. So we're aiming for his turret, and thankfully the shot goes through and finishes off the tier 9 German medium tank. There's an AAT-60 in the base, or not in the base, but he's on the A line, trying to angle for shots at us and anyone else on this ridge line. There's a Sturm Tiger P directly in front of us, and a heavy tank in the town at H0. And this is where the awkwardness of the KTTS comes into play. So, we're just trying to figure out where we can get a shot. We can't go over because the Sturm Tiger P will shoot us. The AAT-60 could shoot us in the side if we try and go after the Sturm Tiger P. And the problem is the AT-60 will also do exactly what's just happened there. He will outspot us exceptionally easily every time, and he'll do just what he did to that Canadian Jagdpanzer 105, who took a blind fire there. That AT-16, because he fired and the AT-60 was where he was, he could just see us. So there's me and the standard B here at D9. There's the heavy tank and the tank destroyer gone to town to go after the medium tank that was spotted at J7. They also went after the heavy tank as well. And we're just going to use the 45mm gun to try and destroy some of the destructible cover. As you can see, it's taken a long time to knock some of this destructible cover down with this 45mm gun. And some of the shots were actually taken at this destructible cover. Doesn't seem to be doing anything. But we get detected and spotted, and it's like, oh, so where is that guy? And there he is. Again, we can't spot the AAT-60. We just can't spot it. He will only ever get spotted if he fires at us. But thankfully, the standard B ends up shutting him down. And once again, we were just destroying some of the destructible cover so that in case anything was over there, we could get rid of it. As we poke over, we find the Sturm Tiger P, who is looking at us. And at this point, I'm kind of boned because I can't get away from this position. He's as slow as I am, but in the time it'll take me to get over there, I will struggle to get after him. I really need to basically keep this guy lit up, keep him distracted because he really wants to get shots at me, and then the standard B should be able to farm him in the side. I really need the standard B to come and help me, and I was looking at him going, don't run away! Please help me, Mr. Standard B! I need your love! I need it now, please! So we're just going to change the position a little bit on the Sturmy Boy P. We're going to move up a little bit to the left on the ridgeline, try and poke over and spot him so that we're not giving him an easy shot, because naturally, if he fires HE, I'm a dead man, because he will just splash us. We only got 52 hit points, he'll just splash us and kill us in one shot. So the Sturm Tiger P's clearly gone, okay, I'm coming for you. So we go for the drive wheel, and sadly the shot goes to the left and only does track damage, but the standard B's come back, and I go for the tracking shot. I should have gone for the lower plate to kill him there, because he would never have got the shot off then, because he's got terrible gun depression. But thankfully, the Storm Tiger P was firing AP, and he bounced. And then the Standard B came and finished him off. That was a total misplay. We should have just... When he got put down to a one-shot by the Standard B, we should have just put the shot into his lower plate to kill him. It's the fact that the Standard B had shot him a split second before I reloaded. I was trying to track him in place so that he couldn't come over, and then the Standard B could finish him off, or I could finish him off either way. But here's what it is. We get lucky that he wasn't firing HE, and we managed to bounce the 203 pen round that that guy has, and live to tell the tale. So we're up to 3,600 damage with 919 assistance. We've got 5.5k blocks as well, which is because we bounced quite a lot off the Carnarvon. That Storm Tiger P hits quite hard as well when we bounce that. We managed to get the odd little ricochet here and there, which again is a very well armoured TD, so you can get ricochets. It's just like when you actually want the armour to work and need it to work in clutch situations, it just doesn't do it, which is deeply frustrating. But we have found the Storm Tiger P. We're just trying to find awkward shots at this guy through the bridge, and he's just in, again, very awkward spots for me to actually get shots at him. So I'm going to move into a position where maybe I might be able to get more shots at the Sturmy Boy P. He is also spotted by me, which is quite handy. We've got the rest of our team charging in, looking for the shot into his roof, because at this angle we should be able to go through it. And we do, and we finish the game with 4,300 damage, the 1,309 assistance, 2 kills, the victory, the 5,000 blocked, like I say, ace tanker, the steel wall, with the 2,062 base XP. A really great game there for the KV-4 KTTS, which honestly is really not the best tank destroyer in the universe. It's not a very good tank, to be honest. I really don't like it. It is what it is. But you will be able to get it for free in the Season Pass. So, as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.